Well, I was going to show you how I actually cook my chestnuts. Like I showed you in previous video on how to grow them. They're a pretty large nut and they taste like a sweet potato. That's the closest thing I can come up with. They are, I think, delicious. Very tasty, and almost this entire thing is nut. It's a very thin shell. But I'm going to just cook a few of them, just a small handful today, because I'm home alone. I'm the only one eating them today, and I think they're best when they're fresh roasted and warm. Although I've shelled them after I've roasted them and thrown them in the fridge, and the next day throw them in the microwave for 10 seconds or so, 15 seconds, and they're warm again, and they taste almost as delicious as they did the day I cooked them. But I'll show you how I cook them, and there's 1,000 different ways it looks like based on the internet on how to do these. You can roast them on a pan, you can cook them over an open fire, you can boil them for a few minutes and then put them in a roasting pan in the oven. I'm just going to rinse them off and throw them in a pan, cook them 15-20 minutes. They'll start swelling out of their shell, and I'll know they're done after about 15-20 minutes. Let them cool off for about 5 minutes and start eating delicious chestnuts. I take the nuts, just for good measure, rinse them off in the water. You can rinse them off in a sink, whatever. Sometimes if they're not quite as fresh as you'd like and they've sat in the fridge for a couple weeks, I let them sit for a couple hours in the water and let them kind of swell in there. I don't know if that does anything or not, but that's what I do. Once I do that, I get a small board, get a stubby little knife, just a regular old paring knife. I like it if it has a little bit of a serrated edge, just because it grips the nut a little better. There's 2 different ways you can do it, or 3 as far as I know that I've seen, but you can do them however you want. You just want to put some sort of cut in them, otherwise they will pop or explode in your whatever you're cooking. But I grasp the nut short ways, leaving long ways open. Take the knife and just gently press down and make a cut, and you can bring it back that way or just turn the nut over and cut it back the other way, and you make a little cut there. This cut will expand and you'll see the yellow nut. That's one way to do it. Put it in the pan. Another way is to do the X. This is kind of more traditional. You just put the knife in, and then you just lean down on the knife, make the one cut, make a cut above that, and just make like a plus or an X in the nut. You can penetrate the nut, it's fine. Doesn't seem like it's affected the flavor for me. And you see the X there, that will expand and cook. To have it kind of open the shell for you, you can do another thing. It seems a little more risk of cutting yourself, but you can cut a clamshell, basically cut around the entire nut, which I don't like. You can see I'm tentative with this cut. But that's one side. This nut will essentially open itself while it's cooking. So this one has gotten a cut all the way around, and it will open up like a clam. We'll put all those in there, and then I'll come all the way I like to do it the rest of the way. I just like this cut because it's easier to open for me than the X. And it doesn't take very long to do several nuts. And like I said, home alone, I'm eating my own. I just want a snack, I don't want a meal. And they're very filling. Cook them up. I'm placing them in the pan here. I'll turn the oven on to just kind of a medium flame. I guess I would want it to stop light, and I'll try to burn myself there. Hopefully we caught that nice explosion on the air. I put a lid on it. You shake them every 5 minutes or so, and you got chestnuts. We'll jump forward to that moment in time here. You can see the nuts are really starting to swell here. Very delicious. all that meaty deliciousness. That's why you have to cut them. If you don't make that slit, they will pop. I did it on one, I had the X on it, but apparently it wasn't enough. And it did pop on me. I didn't ruin it or anything, but it's a pretty big pop. Kind of bigger than a popcorn kernel, so it's a little startling. Okay, we revisit our chestnuts here, and as you can see, they're pretty well roasted. So you see the X is the one that's opened the least. That's why I don't like it. You hurt your hands kind of peeling them. You can hear them. Whereas this clamshell, which is the hardest to cut, just completely opens. But I'm happy with my halfway cut. It's very easy to open this. It's thin shelled, and it's easy to get to the deliciousness without having to really reach in and peel your fingers. Now there's maybe a bigger X would help, but I think that single cut is the easiest, that I don't feel like I'm going to cut myself a finger off. And then these clamshell are tasty otherwise. I don't put any seasoning with them. I eat them directly. I'm going to let them cool off and I'm going to eat them. Okay, we've washed our chestnuts off. We've put them into the pan after having done the various cuts. We'll start with the X across them, which is the traditional way. You can see that I've got some penetration into there, but still the nut split and swelled. And it takes some work, a little bit, not bad. You see I'm not struggling too badly. It certainly doesn't require a nut cracker. And I'm peeling away the nut. And it's requiring some work, and it's getting ready to completely come out. This nut is a little unusual because it's so big and has an extra third part. That dark spot is just from the roasting. It tastes just fine, tastes like the rest. And some of the nut has held on there, the husk, but you can see overall from that one nut it's basically all edible and pretty easy to peel. Next we'll do with my favored way, which is just the slit across long ways, and it's just basically one crack and it's out, and you can see why I like it. It's very easy. Use a little mark of the cut. You can do it shallower. I don't know why anybody would be upset by seeing that the cut, but there's probably ways to avoid that, but I'm not picky. This is a delicious nut that the color is coming across pretty true. It's a little more golden colored than what you can see on this picture, but still a very large nut. I would guess 1.5 inches. We got several others. As an example, we'll do the clamshell cut, which basically is essentially the same ease of popping open, but again I feel less comfortable making that cut. Yeah, pop it open. This is one that has more of a double look to it. These are less common, but sometimes you see them when they're the really big nuts. They're like two separate pieces. Makes me wonder if it would sprout two different trees, because it really looks like it was connected in no way. Peel the rest. Some people peel them as they go. I really like just peeling them all and then sitting back and enjoying. But you can keep them warm longer, obviously, if you do it this way. But basically, that's what you get. We'll do the final delicious picture. Good old chestnuts. Get some today.